Besides the 4 cases confirmed this week, the Minnesota Department of Health says it's likely more cases still haven't been reported.
It doesn't seem like these are just isolated cases.
State epidemiologist Dr. Ruth Linfield says some of the symptoms include shortness of breath, cough, fever, and even things like vomiting and diarrhea. Any parent or doctor who encounters a teen with these symptoms should consider if vaping is the cause, ask the teen about it, and report any cases to the Department of Health.
I suspect we will be hearing about more cases.
With kids heading back to school soon, the agency has updated its school e-cigarette toolkit, a list of resources for parents and teachers to learn more about e-cigarettes and how teens are hiding them, even going to the extreme of wearing specially made sweatshirts that hide devices in the drawstrings. With e-cigarettes being around for several years, investigators are working to find out why now teens are suddenly getting sick.
There may be something different that is going on here.
It's still earlier in their investigation, but the Department of Health tells me these are a few theories they're looking at to explain why this is happening. First of all, they said it could be a contaminated product, though they haven't been able to connect exactly one specific product or brand that's connected to all of these patients. They also feel like it might be the amount that these teens are using. Another possible factor is it may be mixing with other chemicals that they're ingesting, things they're eating, drinking, or other sorts of medication that could be mixing with these chemicals in the e-cigarettes. Another possible factor is dirty devices, though Children's Minnesota does tell us that in these 4 cases, they don't know if that's the case because they haven't seen any sort of fungus or bacteria in any of their cases. Lastly, these cases might just have been misdiagnosed up until now. Doctors may have just thought that this was bronchitis or pneumonia or something else and not ask any questions about vaping, but now that they've made the connection, doctors will definitely be asking those questions.